Hi everybody, this is Dan Stolebarger. Welcome to this week's KFIR Middle East Update, the week of January 27th. It happens to be the International Holocaust Remembrance Day. We'll get to that in a moment. Make sure you go to our website at holygroundexplorations.com in order to access a PowerPoint PDF that's going to have a whole lot more information on it than we have time for in this YouTube. So let's jump into this week, the headlines of this week. John Kerry has come out to say, it's probably shouldn't come as a surprise, but that some of the billions of dollars that have been given in sanction relief to Iran will go to groups that we deem terrorists. Really? And then next up, Hezbollah is now, by the way, Hezbollah being one of those groups that we deem terrorists, is now claiming they have more than 80,000 rockets. And you wonder how many of those are pointed at the state of Israel. I would say probably 80,000. And you know what? They're getting more. And where are they getting it from? Sanction relief. Did you know that 20% of Western donations to the Palestinians, 20% of those donations go to pay the family of terrorist stipends? That's about $75 million a year goes to those families of terrorists. And we need to be aware, those that are involved in supporting the Palestinians need to understand where your money's actually going. We need to take stock and realize what's actually taking place. And finally, nice little article from my friends in Texas. Houston, we have an ally. Texas Governor Greg Abbott was very impressed with his time in Israel. He goes on to say there's a powerful connection between Israel and Texas, and he says, declaring, quote, Israel has no stronger support than the state of Texas. I just wonder how much longer Texas will be part of the Union, but that's another story. But good at you, mates, I should say, as my friends from down under would say, great job, Texans. Article, Bibi and the UN, this last Tuesday, Bibi was infuriated with comments from Ban Ki-moon regarding the Palestinian state and terrorism when he said that it's human nature to react to the occupation. Bibi lost it, specifically going on to say there's no justification for, let's call it what it is, terrorism. The Palestinian terrorists, they don't want to build a state. They want to destroy a state, and they say that proudly. They want to murder Jews everywhere, and they state that proudly. They don't murder for peace, and they don't murder for human rights. The UN has lost its neutrality and its moral force. And he goes on, he says, these comments are only going to fuel terrorism. Ban had attributed the terrorist attacks in the last 4 months in which 25 Israelis have been killed to, quote, Palestinian frustration. We don't have time to go into this, but I'm going to encourage you to make sure you do your homework in understanding what 2 hot button items are going to be over the next year with the upcoming elections. The whole concept of Israeli settlements, as well as this BDS, this boycott, divestment, sanctions. Because, again, both of these items, if they're misunderstood, will go to, in a sense, enhance anti-Semitism. And by the way, it is on the rise. There's an article here that talks about college campuses here in the United States. A reporter reports that with a new anti-Semitism on college campuses today, 75% of Jewish students say that they have either experienced or they've witnessed anti-Semitism. 75%. And again, buzzwords, settlements, buzzwords, divest, boycott, sanctions, anything coming from Judea and Samaria, the place of the settlements. Remember in 1967, when Israel won the war, they took over the West Bank, Judea, Samaria. They took over Gaza. They took over the Sinai Peninsula. They took over the Golan Heights. And they began developing what's so-called now being called settlements in these areas. And again, they want the Palestinians want them back. The Palestinians want what? A Jew-free state. Talk about apartheid. That's what they want. So they want to get rid of every Jew in East Jerusalem, every Jew in the West Bank, every Jew in the Golan Heights, remembering that Israel's already given back the Gaza, as well as part of East Jerusalem, as well as the Sinai Peninsula. So again, don't have the time, but do your homework. Understand that these are the hot button items that are going to go a long way in alienating Israel and creating more and more of anti-Semitism. Now, with all of that in mind, what we did start off with is that today is the International Holocaust Remembrance Day. The United Nations General Assembly has designated January 27th the anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz and Birkenau. They call it the International Holocaust Remembrance Day. On this annual day of commemoration, the UN urges every member state to honor the victims of the Nazi era and to develop educational programs to prevent further genocides. I find it interesting that we live in a day where there are more and more and more and more people that are denying that there ever was a Holocaust. And if you've ever been to Yad Vashem, you know what I'm about to say. You can't walk through there and forget. We must remember. We can never forget. And just the number is startling alone. There's a rock there, and etched into the rock is a 6, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. 6 million Jews were killed, exterminated, never again. Or are we seeing the seeds that are being planted that possibly will see history repeating itself? If you don't believe me, listen to this. This is from Fatah, Palestinians, okay, the so-called moderates. Quote, "Let us talk logically. Hitler was not morally corrupt. He was daring." What? Daring? This is a quote from a Fatah Central Committee member, Takwik Tirai. And it goes on, this article. You need to hear this because this is like, what, the International Holocaust Remembrance Day. Listen, quote, "We are not talking about Holocaust denial. Many Palestinians who are convinced that the Jews did suffer a terrible fate during those times believe, now listen, believe that it was the Zionists that encouraged and even initiated these events in a joint effort with the Germans, both to get the Jews to immigrate from Europe to Israel and to dispose of the weak and the elderly Jewish people so that only the young would be able to reach Israel." This is reported by Ithamar Marcus, our friend from the Palestinian Media Watch. He goes on to say, the word Holocaust these days has slowly become a word that is describing what, quote, Israel is doing to the Palestinians, rather than a description of what happened in the previous century. Do you believe that? That now the idea is that, okay, there was a Holocaust, but the perpetrators of it were the Jews working together with the Germans to wipe out 6 million of the weak. Unbelievable. Unbelievable, unfortunately. It is believable. People are believing these lies. Well, as we conclude this, we can think back of Auschwitz and Birkenau, and we can never forget. But I want to bring it to modern day. I want to bring it to today. I want to remember today. And I want you to see these pictures. Again, go to the website. Look at the pictures of Daphne. And look at the pictures of Shlomit. These two Israeli women. One a mother of 6 in her late 30s. The other was just about to turn 24 years old. Oh, yeah, their crime, they were living in a settlement. One was stabbed in front of her kids, and the other was at a grocery store, and 2 Palestinians came up and stabbed her to death. Unbelievable. We remember, we don't forget. And so that's your charge for the week. Remember, don't forget, pray, pray, pray for the peace of Jerusalem. Be like the sons of Issachar that understood the times. Do your homework, know what's going on, and take a stand. So with that, let me wish you all God's shalom.